Oh, let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, the glasses tweak was top notch. It's Matt Lieb, everybody.
Hey, what's up, Jay? How you doing?
I'm good, Matt. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, dude. So glad to be here talking about movies.
Oh my God, I've had my eye on you as a guest for a while. I know you're a movie and pop culture type of gent.
This is true. I
like-
got a couple of pods. One where ostensibly we talk about movies, but mostly we just talk about like weird shit that we saw on the internet. And then one about The Sopranos that we just started doing last year. Yeah, so I like to talk about content, dude.
Content about content. That's our game, man.
Exactly, man. You know, you just keep and you add more layers as you go. Like at some point, someone's going to start a podcast about other people's podcasts, and it never ends, dude. This content train that we've all been riding for the last couple of years.
Just wait till you get the after show about the podcast about podcasts.
Yeah, man. At some point, it's all just going to be like this Inception, content loop that we're all going to be stuck in forever. And, Patreon will pay all of our bills. Sounds like a good life, dude.
Yeah,
doesn't that sound?
I'll take that.
I'll take it. Fuck it. Hell yeah.
Well, the movie you've chosen to talk about today, we're setting records over here because now this is officially the franchise cemented that has been the most talked about on Blockbusting.
Really?
The Batman cinematic universe is every single movie in it except for Batman, which is the one that hasn't been talked about yet.
The first Batman, the first Tim Burton Batman you're talking about.
The one from 88?
Yeah, I thought about that one too, but I was like, no. It's Batman Returns.
It's Batman Returns. And Batman Returns it is. 1992 American superhero film directed by Tim Burton. The sequel, it's an 89 film, Batman. Starring Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. We got Danny DeVito. We got Michelle Pfeiffer. We got Christopher Walken. And it's about Batman preventing the Penguin from killing all of Gotham City's firstborn sons, also while dealing with Catwoman and Max Schreck, a corrupt tycoon who seeks to bring Gotham City under his control.
Yeah, that's about it. That is what it is about, in ostensibly. But
what's your before I ask too much, everybody who has done a Batman movie specifically tends to have sort of a different, everybody's reasons for hating Batman and comic book movies tend to vary, right? Sometimes people just don't like the direction that the character was taken in. Sometimes people aren't fans of superhero movies in general. What is your beef with Batman Returns?
So, I guess first I would say that I'm kind of shocked that all of the other Batman movies made it on, because to me, there are good Batman movies. I think the first couple of Nolan Batman movies are unquestionably good movies. It's like they are objectively good. Like, even if you don't like superhero shit, you can get on board with that Batman world building. Yeah. So I don't understand how those movies made it on this podcast. My personal problem with this movie, Batman Returns, it's not that I hate it. I don't hate this movie. I don't loathe it. The problem I have with it is that it is kind of given, both Tim Burton Batman movies are given respect that they absolutely don't deserve. Kind of like just Tim Burton in general. His whole career, he's been kind of given respect because he was like the first horny goth to be behind a camera. And so people were like, oh man, that's crazy. Like, look at all those like fucking claymation snakes or whatever. And it's like, he has done some good movies.
Yes.
But the Batman movies are not good movies. The Tim Burton Batman movies, my biggest problem with them is that they are trash, simply put, and that they kind of created a genre of Batman movie that lasted like past the Tim Burton time. So like after the first two Tim Burton movies of Batman, I think we have what, 2 or 3 more Batman movies?
Yeah, you get Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, which are the 2 Joel Schumacher Batmans.
Which are, they're basically just Joel Schumacher doing Tim Burton Batman. There's not really that much of a difference there. Like, I think they even kept like the Danny Elfman score.
Yeah, I think the theme, the Batman theme didn't change until Hans Zimmer got his grubby little German paws on.
Yeah, his grubby little. Yeah. Once that crowd got a hold of it, it was fucking over. But yeah, no, it's like to me, I do think that the Joel Schumacher Batman movies are worse, possibly, than these movies. But to me, this is like the Led Zeppelin of these bad Batman movies. A lot of people like Led Zeppelin. I'm not a huge fan of them, not because I hate their music specifically, but because they created this entire genre of like high-pitched cock rock that I just can't get behind, like hair metal and stuff like that. So I almost blame Tim Burton for creating like Tim Burton-esque acolytes that ruined the entire Batman genre for my entire childhood.
Gotcha. So yeah, so like the Batman and Batman Returns was the Led Zeppelin to the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin's Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Greta Van Fleet, maybe just Sebastian Bach, Maybe. Like I think we can say Sebastian Bach worse than Robert Plant, but I also think I blame Robert Plant for Sebastian Bach.
Right.
But yeah, so my biggest problem, I think, with this movie is that it gets kind of too much respect. It is way too horny. And
it's so horny. It's the horniest. It's the horniest movie out of all of and Joel Schumacher notoriously had a very horny Batman and Robin.
Yeah, those were horny too, but
very horny, but nothing on this level.
Oh my God, this movie is nothing but just innuendo and just pent up like hormones and all in the most ridiculous of circumstances too. Because at the end of the day, they've taken the Batman universe and decided to be way too literal with the fact that animals enter into superpowers. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
there's a lot of mismatched elements going on in this movie that I felt really, it's too cluttered. There's too much going on. There's so many like weird animal things beyond just the characters being the Penguin, Catwoman, and Batman.
Yeah.
And there's, I watched this yesterday, and then I watched It's a Wonderful Life later on that night. And I don't know if you've seen It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah.
But it's there's a scene in the very end when Jimmy Stewart is freaking out because his uncle lost the money to pay the bank. And they go to his house, and his uncle's house is just like a menagerie. He's got birds in there. He's got an owl for no reason. There's a squirrel that comes up and like tries to console him while he's drunk, sobbing on a desk.
Yeah, he's got a crow or some shit like in his vest pocket and shit. Like, the weird animal dude.
But those animals had as much to do with the plot of the movie as it felt like the animals did in Batman Returns.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, they're just kind of it's an attempt at like building a world like Tim Burton's world building is kind of supposed to be half of his charm, but his attempt at building Gotham it just was like this orgasm of like goth themed bad guys and kind of like horny good guys and bad guys. There was just too much going on, and his animal obsession in this was really for me, that's what put me over the line. First of all,
you could buy cats giving a superpower to somebody just by licking and biting them.
Yeah,
after they died.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer becoming Catwoman because she got pushed out of a window and then just gang raped by a cat. Like it was like a bunch of cats just start coming and biting her fingers and shit. And she's like, I will absorb their cat power, which apparently is karate. And and we're just supposed to kind of buy it because that's like, oh, well, you know, it's a superhero movie. And it's like, yeah, but Batman is kind of one of the more, I would say, like, realistic superheroes, and kind of like he's just kind of a rich guy who like learned how to do martial arts and has high tech equipment. He has no superpowers, and
he's just the world's greatest detective. He's got all the equipment and his training at hand, but that's it.
He's George Soros with a cape, you know. And we're supposed to kind of like, it's like part of what gives you like the buy into the character is kind of like you can see yourself a little bit in him. You know, he wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider. He doesn't come from another planet. He's just a guy, except for a very, very rich guy.
Right. But everybody wants to assume that they can be as rich as Bruce Wayne too. Right. Anyway,
that's America. That's what America was founded on. We can all be Batman if we just work hard enough, you know?
Pull ourselves up by our bat bootstraps, and then we can
by our bat straps, exactly. But like the supervillains that he kind of that Tim Burton, I don't want to say created because he didn't create Penguin, but he creates his own version of Penguin that is, to me, that was the impetus for me choosing this episode or this movie to watch, to do this episode of the podcast. Was I've always like thought about how the Penguin in Tim Burton Penguin in the Tim Burton Batman was just an actual penguin. That is the strangest idea. The idea of Oswald Cobblepot, the origin story of the Penguin for Tim Burton was he is an ugly penguin baby. He is born out of a woman, and they put him in a cage. He eats the cat. And they're like, this kid's got to fucking go. And his parents, by the way, his dad is played by Paul Rubens, Pee-wee, which I was like, oh, that's a perfect role for him.
A little subtle Tim Burton extra touch for you.
Exactly. You know, he did the Pee-wee movies. I get it. But he fucking, they throw their baby into the river or whatever the fuck. And the baby floats through the sewers and eventually lands somewhere where I guess penguins live in Gotham, underground in sewers, and that he's raised by penguins, and we're just supposed to be okay with this. And not only that, but this guy is just a penguin. He's just a penguin man. He's got sharp shark teeth, which and he eats fish. He loves fish. He's got flipper hands.
Yeah, he's got to wear his gloves.
Yeah,
he's doing like a bad shadow puppet the whole time of just his hands.
Yeah. He's got a he was born with the shocker already. You know, the two in the pink and the one in this thing, and so he's like and also after the opening sequence where the baby floats into the river and then meets all the penguins and is apparently raised by penguins. It cuts to 33 years later. So we're supposed to believe that Danny DeVito's Penguin is 33 years old, which I'm just like, no, why? You don't even have to do that. That is a weird overlooked detail. There's no way that the Penguin is younger than me right now. All right. It's fucking bullshit. All right. I'm a 35-year-old man and I look way better than the goddamn Penguin. That's a disgrace to me.
I mean, I have seen a handful of 33-year-olds who look as bad as Danny DeVito does in that movie.
That's true, but they're mostly podcasters, and so you never have to see their face.
Right. But so then we cut 33 years later, and by the way, this whole opening sequence, before we even see Batman, it's a solid almost probably 15 minutes into the movie, where we go from this jump of the Penguin being raised, sort of. And then you see a villain who Tim Burton completely invented for this movie, Max Schreck.
Yes. Yeah. And Max Schreck is he is a captain of industry, tycoon, billionaire who wants to build nuclear power plants for Gotham. And it's all in like some sort of secret plot that he has to actually steal power from Gotham, which is never really kind of fleshed out in any way. It doesn't really matter. It's just It's just he's an evil man doing evil things.
It's just evil guy doing evil guy stuff. It's Christopher Walken.
Yeah, played by Christopher Walken, who does a great job because Christopher Walken is a great actor. And also, Michael Keaton is also a good choice for a Batman. I thought he was a good Batman. So
I did too.
I'm not against Michael Keaton as Batman. I'm against Tim Burton and what he did to Batman.
Yeah. I think what makes some of this movie work is performances from Christopher Walken and from Michael Keaton and a little bit from Danny DeVito. I think sometimes Danny DeVito goes... he has the hardest job in the movie because he has to walk the campiness line and the like Tim Burton hot topic darkness line. Michelle Pfeiffer's just off the map completely. I was so disappointed by Michelle Pfeiffer's performance in this, but everybody else seems to get the sort of comedic, comic booky kind of tone that you need at least a little bit. And this is, Michael Keaton comes from a background in comedy, right?
Yeah.
And Danny DeVito and Christopher Walken both understand comedic performance. I think Michelle Pfeiffer just didn't. She's just not the right actress for this kind of a role. She knew
it was going to be campy, but she didn't know why. It was like the campiness for her. She thought it was almost like this directive where like, this is a campy thing. And she was like, okay. Like she didn't put the pieces together that like there's it's supposed to be kind of a send up. It's supposed to be kind of funny, but still, on the other side of parody, because it's not a parody. It is a Batman movie.
Right.
But it's like they were trying not to be 1960s Batman, but they just pulled back a little bit. That's kind of where they went. And she decided to go full camp with it. Just the horniest pussy lady in the world. And it just drove me fucking nuts.
It was so uncomfortable because she seems like she's playing a character who would fit better in the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. And
100%.
In particular, Batman and Robin, because that one went full camp 1960s level of campiness. And she would have been great in that. But this, it just doesn't seem... She kind of feels with the way Tim Burton seems to have directed the movie, where it like... He doesn't know the tone to go for. He just wants to do him. He's got the script pulling him in this other direction that he clearly, I don't think, directed the cast into going that sort of like comic booky kind of direction that the script takes it.
Yeah.
It just felt all over the place. And we have like the first thing that happens once this speech goes on that Max Schreck is giving is there's a circus gang that shows up, but the Joker's not involved. Of course, why would there be clowns and not the Joker involved?
There's still a circus gang. It's a holdover, I think, from the previous movie where after the Joker dies, they're like, well, we're not going to stop being a circus gang.
Right.
Just because one guy dies, I'm not going to, hang up my clown nose and clown shoes and
put in all this investment to get.
Yeah, exactly. I went to clown college for this,
There's a guy who's an organ grinder. He got the whole setup. He got the monkey. He got the rotator thing just to hide his Gatling gun in. I mean, that's an investment, You can't go back on something like that.
Exactly. You can't. There's no eBay at this time. He couldn't have sold back, his Gatling gun / organ grind. It's like, that's what happens when you organ grind, dude. He's an organ grinder.
Yeah.
He's on that grind.
He's an organ hustler.
That's right. Goddamn right.
But so it goes on, we finally meet Selena Kyle at some point right after this, and she's hasn't been pushed out the window, hasn't been empowered by her her near-death experience yet, and by that cat attack. Batman, Bruce Wayne is just kind of chilling with Alfred in his mansion.
He's literally the first time you see him, the bat signal is about to go up, and he's just sitting in a leather chair by a fireplace contemplating, and you're just like, I understand that like Batman's cool and whatnot, but that just read to me as like, oh, when's crime gonna happen? This fucking sucks. Like this dude is so bored. They just decided to open it with the boredest Batman ever, and luckily the bat signal goes up.
Right, and this is to sort of compound on how boring this Batman is. Most of the movie is about an election.
Yeah, it's a political thriller starring a penguin and Christopher Walken.
It's Christopher Walken is basically just like the super PAC guy who's propping up the penguin to be elected mayor to recall the current mayor.
Yeah.
It's all playing out.
Which is such a weird, that's the weirdest thing that they did was they were like, well, you know, the election already happened. You know, how can I run for mayor? Max Schreck when the election's already happened, and Max Schreck is like, we'll do a recall. I'm like, why the fuck are you adding this detail? Why isn't there just an election? What, like, who told you? No. It has to be a recall campaign. Why not just the mayor wants to get reelected and then the penguin comes out? Like, they added these weird political details that added nothing to the story, but just decided, like, if we just fill the story with a bunch of meaningless details, people will forget that we have the penguin as just an actual penguin man.
Right. I mean, but if you don't have it set around Christmas time after an election, you can't have Tim Burton doing his dark Christmas stuff going on.
That's true. That's true. It very much probably has to do with the fact that they were like, well, it has to be a Christmas movie, which I don't really understand.
I don't understand it either.
Like, does it need to be? It could come out during Christmas and not be Christmassy. Like,
it didn't even come out. It's like Die Hard, where everyone's like, oh, that's a Christmas movie. Die Hard came out in fucking June, and so did Batman Returns.
Yeah, it's strange to me because it's like there was, I think, a 90s fixation with like making your movies be around Christmas because there's a lot to work with there. You can make a meal out of Christmas. You know, you just add Christmas to your premise and you're like, oh, now I got to buy presents. Now there's like, you know, at the very least, there's this aura of Christmas around. It makes set design easier. But in this case, it's like Christmas has nothing to do with this movie other than to be like, well, we wanted to set it in snow.
Mm-hmm. How are we going to get the guys to jump out of a giant present?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Christmas.
Exactly.
We do a birthday? That's weird.
It's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb.
The election subplot happens. In concordance with the classic Batman Catwoman, Selena Kyle, Bruce Wayne dual love-hate story.
Yeah, the sexual tension between them, which is like, I understand. We all knew they were going to do it, right? We all knew they were going to add that because it's always been there between Catwoman and Batman. The problem is that the Tim Burton Catwoman is just like an S&M leather mommy. Like she's basically just half furry, half incel. And so you're like dealing with this kind of like overtly sexualized superhero who you're like, I'm not sure what her power is. I know she can do flips, but like half of it is just like, are you just so horny for her? Like they kind of made her Poison Ivy a little bit. You know what I mean? A little bit,
yeah. But they also don't forget to mention the influencer angle that she has with that sweet neon sign she has up in her all pink apartment that she smashes two of the perfect letters out of. So it says hell here.
Yeah. At first it said hello there, which is something that, you know, she bought off of whatever the 90s equivalent of Etsy was. And then she smashes it in anger. I love after she gets knocked out of the window and becomes Catwoman, her first thing that she does is come home, do cat shit, like drink milk out of the bottle, and then just starts smashing up her apartment. And then she has a spray paint can and she's just drawing like a line of black all over her apartment. And the expectation being like, oh, she's going to turn this into the cat lair. But no, she does nothing with it. She just faces her own apartment for basically no reason other than she's mad that she got pushed out of a window.
And she does it with the door to her hallway open the whole time. No one comes in to check on her.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of shitty neighbors. I don't know.
It's rough out there in these streets, man. Gotham is a dog eat dog, cat eat cat world, dude.
Bat eat bat, penguin eat penguin, penguin eat fish.
So the other thing that pissed me off about it was like, and I understand these characters predate Tim Burton, but like one of the reasons you don't make the animal like so much a part of the super in general is like a penguin is a weak ass fucking bird, dude. It's not a scary bird. A cat is like moderately scary if it's big enough, but again, it's like you don't make them actually. It's like Batman is not a bat. The
Right.
reason he's scary is not because he does bat shit like, hang upside down and like give people H1N1 or whatever.
Right.
He's scary because he's in the shadows, and there's like a story. There's an origin story with him being scared of bats and overcoming the fear. These are weak ass animals that they were like, what if the man was a penguin man? And you're like, is that supposed to be scary? Yeah, no, because he wear dark makeup like goth. Everybody look like Robert Smith from The Cure, and they really want to fuck.
I mean,
horny.
They're so horny, and you can be scary if you don't have to be a penguin to bite a guy's nose off.
Right.
You don't have to do that.
I also feel like a penguin wouldn't do that. Like they were adding like things to like the persona of a penguin, like eating a cat, that I was just like, this is not. You're not even being consistent in what this character is. He's like, I understand he's a freak and he's not an actual penguin, but why give him flippers? Why have him raised by other emperor penguins, dude? It's fucking so dumb.
By the way, poor Danny DeVito, the moment he realized that emperor penguins were taller than him, that must have been a real shocking day on set.
Yeah, well, he did have a really good line where at one point he says, I feel 5 feet tall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was like, that's a good joke. That's a solid, Danny DeVito burn. So
the thing with this movie is there are a handful of moments like that. There are a few fun parts. There are some jokes that land.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some moments that with the production design that feel really cool. Yeah. But that's the downside to any Tim Burton movie. Mm-hmm. Is it's so much more focused on the style over the substance.
Completely. And like the style is, I understand it was novel at the time. And I remember liking Tim Burton's style because it was like, it was felt like it was for me, because to me, that was like Tim Burton was the exact level of horny I was when he was making movies that were good. Like I was only attracted to goths, of course. There's something about it that I was like, this is an entire horny world that he's created where everyone's just trying to fuck.
We had the teenagers where we were like, let's watch Corpse Bride and chill.
Exactly. And that was like, if you had a fucking Nightmare Before Christmas backpack, people knew what you were about. And basically what you were about was like, Adderall and Smashing Pumpkins. Like, and that's fine. Everyone's cool with that.
The band and the Halloween activity.
Exactly. Both at the same time. But like, as an adult looking back at, Tim Burton and his style choices and everything, now I guess as a grown man, I'm like, what the fuck was wrong with you, dude? Like, why you're so horny, and this is like a kid's movie. And I'm not saying this is my cuties or whatever, but I'm like to me, I'm just like, you made it Christmassy, you made it fucking horny as fuck, and you made it for kids. I don't know what you're about, Tim Burton, but I don't think I like you. I don't think I'd want to hang with Tim Burton. I think Tim Burton is the type of guy who would like really try to fuck my girlfriend, and I feel like he's just got this weird porn vibe to him that I'm not into it.
He really does. Yeah. Tim Burton seems like he was one critical flop away from being a porn parody director, and a very successful one. He would have won a shitload of AVNs.
Yeah, no, he would have been, I think, probably the greatest porn director who ever lived, had he just had a few more flops. But he was good enough in the beginning that people were like, yeah, major motion picture, sure, fucking give it to him.
I'm looking at some of the production design and elements and stuff from this movie. The amount of time, I mean, the best thing about Tim Burton probably is that he gives an insane amount of work to people who have just free reign to put together his vision. Like nobody else is doing that in Hollywood especially at this time in Hollywood studio system. Like, they've got people studying fascist architecture and World's Fair architecture and Russian and German expressionism just to design a soundstage that looks like a plaza, and they've got prosthetic makeup that takes 2 hours to apply, and they've made 60 cat suits that cost $1,000 each.
I mean, it's like, I appreciate the amount of like practical effects work that he did, and I think it's what kind of gave him, kind of this look that was very unique. But like, do you really need to pay like some schmuck like millions of dollars to design to like study brutalism for like 2 years before you're like, oh, here's a dark building in the background you never get to see? Like, the architecture of the movie doesn't really add much to it other than like, hey, it looks like Gotham's a scary place, and it doesn't even really, it doesn't feel scary because there's a bunch of clowns walking around, shooting stuff, and I'm just not into it.
Tim Burton's the perfect director for when theme parks started to exist based on movies, because all of his sets look like the queue for a superhero ride.
Yes.
Have you been to a Six Flags ride based on any of the Batman movies? They all look like this.
Yeah. No, I mean, he definitely created a style that was made to consume, I think, in person at theme parks. Like, and that's pretty much it. Like, if you went to like the Riddler's Revenge or some shit like that, you were like, oh man, it's cool. I can't wait to get on this ride. And I get to look at all this shitty brutalist architecture while I'm here. Like, something to do.
Dude, I used to be at Six Flags over Texas back in my hometown. We had Batman the ride, and we had the Mr. Freeze ride. And the Batman ride queue is fine, but the Mr. Freeze ride, that's like perfect. Oh, that's just so juicy. It's so weird. They've got an ice cream man's head, and you're in an old abandoned ice cream factory, and
that's fucking cool. I'm down with that.
But also, like, that doesn't exist without Tim Burton, doing his weird wackadoo shit for the first 2 movies of this franchise. I
mean, a lot of things don't exist without Tim Burton doing his thing, man. Like, fucking so many hand jobs don't exist without him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like, God bless him. God bless him. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's like this, the world that he creates that he thinks is like dark, is most of the time just kind of silly. And it's like, I'd be cool with silly, I think, if he, I don't know, if he doubled down on it a little bit more in this movie, if he had made it more, if he had made it funnier, then I think I would have been okay with it. I just think you can't go from the first Batman movie, which I think, I mean, I haven't seen it in years, but I remember thinking it was genuinely good. And then go from that to this kind of like, it's a crazy circus show. It's
we got penguins launching rockets. We got
fucking Al Qaeda penguins doing suicide attacks. It's just so fucking. We got
Christopher Walken playing Donald Trump, sort of.
Yeah, and everybody's horny.
Everybody wants to fuck.
Everybody's just trying to fuck. Enjoy this movie, kids.
Michelle Pfeiffer makes out with somebody to death.
Yeah. Which is the fucking line that they keep saying. The one that was mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it. A kiss can be even deadlier if you
mean it.
And it's just like,
can you imagine how many yearbooks that got written into?
So many people have a tattoo of that they've since covered up with like an even worse phrase, Oh
my God. Yeah, that's like cringe on the level of the damaged tattoo from Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was replaced with for sure. People are like, oh, got to get rid of this one. Let me do a little bit of Jared Leto all over my body.
Now, amazingly enough, this has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know. I saw that, and I'm just like, it's one of the reasons I picked this movie. Because, like, why? Everyone should rewatch this movie and understand that it's infuriating that anyone thought this was good at the time.
It's so strange because everybody loves Tim Burton at the time. They're like, Tim Burton does a great job, and Michael Keaton gets the well-deserved praise for being a good Batman.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, like watching it now, it still feels weird. It feels more in line with Roger Ebert said, I give the movie a negative review, but I don't think it's a bad movie. It's more misguided, made with great creativity, but denying us what we deserve from a Batman story.
That's about right. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because it is like, this is I give it a negative review, but I don't think it's like it's entertaining. The story, what little there is of story, it does move along, and it hits all the marks of a movie. Like, Tim Burton is a completely competent filmmaker, but it's not a good Batman movie.
Yeah, it sure is a movie, but it's not a good one.
Yeah, a movie happened in the 2 hours that I watched it.
And it's not totally forgettable like Batman Forever, but I don't think it has the sort of gonzo, like really going for it, knows its lane and sticks in itness that Batman and Robin has. Yeah,
the consistency, I think, would have been better. I would have liked to see, if you're gonna make the Penguin an actual fucking penguin, I want to see him walking like a penguin the whole movie. I want to see him, like, at some point just in the middle of some ice, just eating a fish, I want to see, I don't want to see the Catwoman, like, licking Batman's face. That's what dogs do. That's a dog thing. Why did she do a dog?
Don't get it.
I don't get it. That's not what they do. And it's just too horny. It's just too horny for me. And that says a lot. That's because I love horny. That's my baseline.
It's so horny that McDonald's shut down their Happy Meal promotion for this movie.
Is that right?
That is right. McDonald's
good
couldn't do Happy Meals because of how horny this movie was.
Yeah.
Well, I got one final question that's in the Batman sort of vein. Tim Burton has been hit or miss with Batman movies as a director. Joel Schumacher, same thing in my mind. Christopher Nolan, we both agree, has done a really great job.
Yeah.
Who, we've got Matt Reeves coming out soon with his take on Batman, but if you had to pick a director that you would like to see do a Batman story, who would you go with? And we're talking Batman. No Joker, no Justice League, Batman v Superman, just Batman down the barrel.
It's a good question. I mean, I think that because Batman has proven himself, or at least the character, the world of Batman has proven itself to be really good for directors who know how to, like, do a character study. I would love to see, like, a Michael Mann Batman, or like I would love to see a P.T. Anderson fucking Batman.
P.T. Anderson Batman would be great.
Because P.T. Anderson understands jokes, and he understands how to get the best out of his actors, and so I would love to see either Michael Mann or P.T. Anderson Batman. That would be the shit.
Great. I mean, some people would say we got a Michael Mann Batman when we got Dark Knight, but
yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. I guess what I'm saying is I'd love for Christopher Nolan to do more Batman movies.
That would be great. But no, he's just going to do James Bond movies now instead.
Which, I mean, I guess they
I
might
liked
be
it.
good.
I was a fan of Tenet. I saw it in a drive-in. I'm cool with it.
Wait, was that a James? No, oh, you mean James Bond-ish type movies?
Yeah.
See, I wanted to see that movie, but then COVID happened, and I was like, I gotta wait till you saw it in a drive-in.
I saw it in a drive-in. Yeah, dude. They might still be playing it in drive-ins. You should go.
I should go,
dude. The one in it's Mission Tiki. It's out in like Pomona.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Mission
worth
Tiki.
the drive. It's really, really good.
I'm gonna look into it, dude. I'm gonna look into it.
Shout out Mission Tiki, unofficial sponsor of the show. Does not know that I'm talking about them, but great place if you're in the LA, greater Los Angeles area. Matt, dude, this has been eye-opening to watch this movie. I feel I'm almost done with my Batman collection, so thank you for adding to it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for having me on, dude. I'm glad I got to finally have a space to talk about how stupid an actual penguin is as a supervillain.
This is a safe space, and there's no chance of pissing off our teenage hookups for our anti-Tim Burton opinions now. So.
Oh yeah, no, they don't. They're all dead now.
Bless up for that. Where can the listeners find you and see what you got going on?
You can follow me on Twitter at Matt Lieb, or Instagram at Matt Lieb Jokes. I do. Check out my Sopranos podcast, Pod Yourself a Gun, where we go through every single episode of The Sopranos and talk about it. You might be, I don't know, like, you might be thinking like, oh, but aren't there other Sopranos podcasts that are done by the actual cast? Nah. Don't listen to those. Only listen to ours, all right? Because we're the only real Sopranos podcast out there. So check it out. Pod yourself a gun.
All right. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for everything else. And if you like the show, consider subscribing on Patreon, where you can get bonus episodes and access to the Blockbusting Film Club. Literally tonight, as today, as we're recording this, we're going to watch a movie tonight. So you're missing out, but guess what? You might be in for next week. So this has been it. Matt, thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me, dude. Appreciate it.
This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.